Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Mark Decana, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
So the date we're looking at this episode is the 22nd of October, and in 1934 Charles Arthur Floyd, notorious American bank robber, was shot dead by the BOI.
The boy.
The boy. He's mad about the boy.
Barrage of insects. Barrage of insects? Why did you suddenly think of that? Board of Independence. Some boys?
No, the boy. The BOI.
Why, what, mistaken identity? Innocent man, gunned down with no...
Innocent, notorious bank robber.
Okay. Okay. Tell us all about it.
So the BOI...
yeah, I didn't mean that bit, actually, but anyway, carry on. BOI.
The BOI.
Bureau...
of Investigation?
Yes. The O stands for OV.
Of.
Later they...
Because they don't know how acronyms work.
Yeah. So we're in Ohio.
Are we?
And it's the Bureau of Investigation. Later became the
FBOI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The feds gunned him down.
Couldn't they have said, "Put your hands up" and come out quietly?
Well, that always works, doesn't it? Everybody ever.
It wasn't just standing there and...
Do you mind if
there was a preamble?
You come out quietly and calmly, Charles?
Yeah.
Was he called
The traditional response is, "You'll never get me alive, copper."
Yeah, we're talking... This is 1934, so you'll remember from previous episodes, assuming you remember anything at all.
Let's not assume that.
Let's not assume that.
I don't remember you. I don't remember us. I don't even remember me.
1934, so this is the golden age of the American bank robber, the gangster.
Yeah. You mean the 30s?
The 30s, but 1934 particularly.
I would say each decade has a golden age of
a favourite crime.
Nicking stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Now, for instance, I don't know, tech kind of hacking or something.
Yeah, cybercrime.
Yeah. 30s was... I wasn't thinking of 30s, actually. I was thinking of 70s being plane hijacking.
70s was hijacking, yeah. 80s was embassies.
Embassies, yeah.
Embassy sieges.
There's only so many embassies to go round, I suppose. That's why, luckily, the 80s ended. And what was the 90s? I don't think, by the way,
crime.
This is yeah.
VHS copy.
By the way,
yeah.
This isn't
video piracy. Yeah.
This isn't an official list, but it basically kind of appears to go in decades, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Not random at all, maybe. Like there's some pattern here.
Yeah, so the 20s was liquor, I guess.
I was going to say, that prohibition kind of thing.
And then the 30s was basically bank robbers.
Right.
Yeah, so he was a bank robber.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Charles Arthur Floyd, you might know him better by his epithet, Pretty Boy Floyd. He was one of those few people, we've talked about this before, but just briefly, the Public Enemy number 1 title was put upon him after Dillinger was Public Enemy number 1, when he was shot and killed by the FBI. That title passed to Pretty Boy Floyd.
Officially. Certificate in the post.
Yeah.
Signed by the Queen.
You may have already won a prize. Came through the post.
Does the other person have to be dead? Or
well, yeah, you
could
can't
they have
both
said,
be number 1.
No, could they have said, actually, do you know what, I don't know, retiring?
Well, it could be captured.
In that case, yeah.
Captured. Well, only one was captured, who we've also talked about.
Yes, we have, yeah.
Remember him?
No.
Alvin Karpis, longest serving inmate at Alcatraz.
Yes, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, therefore, he relinquished his crown at that moment.
Yeah. So,
was he pretty? Well, I'm going to suggest. Yeah. I'm going to suggest that I'm going to say the 50s. Mm-hmm. Most people were ugly.
Well, you don't look exactly like a basket of fruit yourself.
Would you say the 50s? I might update it to the 60s, actually.
So that all of a sudden everyone got beautiful in the 60s.
What you're thinking is
that's not...
old photos are quite grainy.
I mean, if you say it like that, then no, most people, whatever you just said, because that's obviously not true. But have you seen people in the 70s? But anyway, most people were, in modern standards, were not described as Pretty, basically.
Okay.
Would you? You don't look at old, I don't know, photos and say, "Oh, have you seen her?" It's like you never do that, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course you do.
Fascinated by this
So in the 30s,
cul-de-sac that we've wandered.
would he was like a pin-up?
Well,
I'm guessing he was just less disfigured and scarred than other mobsters around
I think
him.
he wasn't scarred
back
with
from the
smallpox.
Compared to all of the gangsters around him, he was prettier.
Well, yeah, he was
Exactly.
a young man, and he was not horribly disfigured.
How old was he when he died?
He died at 30 years old.
Oh, blimey. Poor
So-
bloke.
A full career behind him.
Well, yeah, so it would seem. He was born in 1904, obviously, 30 years before.
Oh, right, yeah.
People would later say that, he was a product of the Depression, you know. But actually, he was wrong from early days. So when he was 18, he stole $3.50 from post office.
I mean,
Which is about it's a pattern of behaviour that he began.
And $3, I would have thought, in the 20s is not a small amount of money. It's not a
today's
huge amount of money.
$4.
In today, that's about $50.
Right, okay.
I mean,
So it's not a lot.
anyway.
No, it's not a lot.
But it is significant because 3 years after that, in 1925, he was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison for payroll robbery.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's more. I don't know whether 5 years in prison, but that's more significant. We had a 3-year gap, though, of being
When he
perfectly
was
nice.
perfectly straight. He was,
What happened after the first?
We don't know.
Yeah.
He wasn't arrested and convicted in those
Well,
years.
that's what
It
I'm
didn't
saying.
mean he didn't commit crimes.
So nothing. So he wasn't like the first one, the $3 massive robbery. What was the net result of that? Nothing.
No, he wasn't convicted. He was arrested.
Oh, he was,
He was-
right. Okay,
Right.
right.
But he wasn't.
I told his mum and he was sent to bed without any tea.
For 3 years, and he was good for 3 years, or he got away with it.
Or he
for
wasn't.
3
Yeah,
years.
he wasn't.
fine.
He wasn't arrested.
Okay, yeah.
Or he wasn't convicted of anything. But
He
it doesn't
may-
mean he wasn't.
No, because he may have been stealing payroll for 3 years and got caught
Payroll.
eventually.
So payroll was cash.
Payroll is cash. Yeah.
Cash with your hands, what a burden!
I don't think I've ever had. I mean, mainly because I haven't lived in 30s America. But have you ever had? And here's your
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
envelope with cash in,
Yeah,
100%.
denoting what, a week's work,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, a week's work.
is your annual salary?
Well, that's where the phrase "wage packet" comes from. It was.
I know that, but I don't care about.
If you
what
know
it's
that,
called.
then why?
No, but I've never experienced a
I've had, yeah.
good.
When I
Here you
was
are.
16, I got my weekly brown envelope.
Yeah. I used to spend it, keep it in the envelope and open the
Used to
envelope to
spend
take money out.
Take the
like
money
a
out of the
purse.
envelope. Yeah. I remember that as well.
I mean, surely it's. Was that from like a big company or whatever, or were we talking like the paper shop?
paper round.
The paper mill.
Actually, come to think of it, I got my crisp £5 from the newsagents paper round.
Yeah.
But during the week, I would say, "Can I have a Mars bar or
Some
whatever?"
sweets.
And then come Saturday, they'd literally hand over 27p or something.
Because you spent it all.
You've spent it all for
during the week.
Yeah, but were you working for a big?
That would have been that would have been the earliest.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is a major company, so.
It's not that long ago. It's not as if it's Pretty Boy B-O-I
Pretty boy B.O.I. Floyd.
Floyd.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. But I mean, you used to get a little brown envelope and they'd have like your tally on the outside. You've done this
Yeah,
X
stapled.
hours this week, and you did that.
Where did you get yours from?
I remember actually.
Great anecdote. But you have someone.
Yeah.
You must have some idea. You haven't had 900.
I definitely had them for my paper rounds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had paper round.
Paper rounds.
And yeah, I did 3.
Interesting. Oh right.
Now, I will tell you what they pay me, and you will tell me if this is a servant's wages.
I got 1 penny per paper. Like shit.
And your round was £1.
It was 1 paper. No, I had 240 papers to deliver. It's a local,
Wow.
like a
Oh, it was a free
free paper.
£2.40. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
For 8 hours work.
It was just the worst job in the entire.
It was hard work, yeah.
Because it was a local paper? Or something?
Yeah, it's a local.
So every house?
Yeah.
So ultimately, you didn't actually go that far because you just went every house.
Half the houses, and then it was the walk to the park to dump them behind the bushes.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. No, mine wasn't that far, but it was just people who'd signed up to the newsagents to have deliveries, because obviously that's what people did in those days.
Yeah.
But and mine was a set £5 per week.
There were so many papers, and they were big newspapers because I had loads of classifieds and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got another one doing the same route, delivering leaflets, and the leaflets paid more money.
But it went to the same house.
I just delivered the leaflets because it was lighter.
So you didn't do both?
I did do both initially to get more money.
Yeah.
Because I'd go into the same places, so I just put one of each.
My paper had included leaflets as well, but what we had to do was insert the leaflets into the newspaper before we delivered them, which just took forever.
Why did we get onto this? The pay packet debate.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, even when you two, in the 90 years ago, when you got pay packets, it could have been abused then. So imagine how much abuse it would have got in the 30s.
Oh, well, yeah, this is
or 20s. Well, we in the 20s.
Embezzling. He outright stole. He robbed with a bag of money.
Oh, right, okay.
Didn't cipher a penny out.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. He wasn't an accountant.
He wasn't a kind of embezzling accountant. He's just
stealing the whole payroll.
He just grabbed a bag of money.
Just give me all those envelopes. Oh, right, okay. Fine.
Give me a penny out of each envelope.
And then no one will know.
So he got 5 years in prison, but he served 3.5 and then got parole.
I still think it's a bit much, but anyway. Ultimately, they were on to the right person, eventually, I mean.
So in the ensuing years, many years, he's committed more and more bank robberies, becoming more and more involved in the Kansas City underworld,
right,
where he moved to. And somewhere around that time is when he got the nickname Pretty Boy. Lots of different reasons about why that might be, but largely just because he was a young guy, and therefore hadn't been, he wasn't showing the weight of the world on his face at that point.
Addled by time.
And also he would wear dress shirt.
Okay. I still argue, even though I don't know what he looks like, I bet he wasn't that pretty.
He worked on the oil fields, on the oil rigs.
Yep.
And it's possible that because if he was young and dressing smart and going to work in the oil fields with all guys, then he would be considered Pretty Boy. He hated the nickname, apparently.
Oh, okay.
He hated being called Pretty Boy, which is normal, I think. That's another thing around the time. Everyone got a nickname around that time.
Yeah.
Hated their nicknames.
The nickname era.
So like Babyface Nelson hated being called Babyface.
Yeah.
And Scarface, Al Capone, hated being called Scarface. He wanted to be called Snorky.
What? Hey, Snorky. Because that was his choice, probably.
His choice was Snorky. He hated being called Scarface.
We're going to call you Scarface. I want to be called Snorky.
I mean, right, so we're just looking at a picture of Charles.
Charlie Chuck Floyd.
I mean...
Yeah, he's not pretty.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But is that because it's a grainy old photo?
No. I mean, we don't know if he's tall and, I don't know, broad and whatever. That's not a...
No.
Oh, have you seen him?
I mean, it's not like he's a...
Hideous
or anything. Yeah, no, he's just not particularly striking in any way. He's just kind of average.
I reckon you're right. I reckon it was largely because he scrubbed up well.
Yeah.
And was always like that, presumably.
Again, it might not, by our observations of this photo, be
this one
photo be the most handsome, as illustrated. But it's by comparison, being a younger man in crisp clothes, he might be considered pretty boy. Right. Again, it's probably derogatory. It's like the rough, tough workers going, "No, look at this rosy cheeked,
lofty,
pretty." Yeah.
3 foot high.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see he could be a bit of a dandy.
Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah.
So I think it's probably more for his attire than his visage.
Yeah, that's true.
Take a look at this guy. Where'd you get the fancy threads, pretty boy?
I heard he got another nickname. Obviously, his name's Charles, which another shortening of Charles is Chuck. Well, he apparently was insulted by a man with a chocolate bar and had beat him up and then earned the nickname Chock. But how you insult someone with a chocolate bar? I have no idea.
He insulted someone with a chocolate bar, as in he used it as a weapon.
No, the guy insulted him with a chocolate bar.
Assaulted him.
Yeah.
Insult.
I can imagine how you were assaulted by a chocolate bar.
A man was attacked today with a Toblerone.
One of the
that only exist in airports.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you could easily kill someone with a Toblerone.
Oh, yeah.
A frozen airport
Mr. Miyagi could kill you with a Toblerone.
in its box. You could.
Yeah.
I reckon you could do that.
You could beat someone to death with a Toblerone.
I think you could.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Sorry, what?
I don't know if they had Toblerones in 1930.
Hang on, don't look at me. It's his bloody anecdote. Choc.
No one had been to Switzerland by then.
Rude Choc Turners.
Choc.
So a man
insulted him, with a chocolate bar, but that's as deep as the story goes. Insulted, yeah.
Insulted him with a chocolate. So he's just standing out the chocolate incident.
Maybe,
He's just holding a chocolate.
The details of the story are unclear.
Maybe he was holding some sort of confection.
What chocolate would there have been in 1930?
Hershey?
Yeah, I was going to say Hershey.
Hershey bar, chocolate.
I think there's quite a few. There's kind of more than you think.
Thank you, Charlie, and hello again, everybody. Welcome to America's Top 10.
Chico stick. Break me, share me. It's honeycomb cake.
Wonka bar.
There's a big hunk. It's basically nougat and...
You could insult someone with one of those.
Yeah, you could, couldn't you? You're not one of these.
Yeah.
And holding it to their face. The other good fact about English American chocolate bars is that a Mars is a Milky Way and a Milky Way is a Mars.
What?
You know a Milky Way?
Yeah.
Nice soft.
Well, it's kind of a pointless, fluffy thing.
Whippy fluff.
That's a Mars bar.
But the description is right. The name is wrong. Milky Way. Mars bar's not kind of Milky Way-ish, is it?
Milky Way. It's Milky Way.
I'm getting...
Yeah, but you're associating the brand with the snack. You're not... If I just said, here's a chocolate bar, what do you think? You're not going to say, it's Milky Way.
Yeah, but if you bite into what we call a Milky Way, and that's... light and fluffy, you might think milky. What you don't think is nougat and caramel. That's a bit milky.
Snickers has been around since the 1930s.
It wasn't
introduced by Frank Mars.
Well, hang on, it wasn't called that, though, was it?
What, Snickers?
Yeah.
Well, in the US it was. It's only in Britain it was called Marathon.
Okay.
Boston Baked Beans, 5th Avenue. That's still around today. That's made by Hershey. That's basically peanut butter. Sugar Babies. They're still going. Cinnamon Red Hots.
I remember them. I used to eat those in the 90s.
Heard of them. Payday, which is basically peanuts.
Maybe that's what he robbed. He just robbed a van full of chocolate bars.
Oh, I thought you said payroll. He stole Payday. Maybe he was the candy bandit.
Oh, Payday.
Three Musketeers, which is a Milky Way to us.
No, hang on.
But it comes in different flavours, though. I think there was a strawberry and a vanilla. And
how dare it? Yes, vanilla, strawberry, and chucky. Maybe it was that, but it's only chocolate on the outside. So our Milky Way is the Three Musketeers.
Right, okay.
But they're what we call Mars, they call Milky Way.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
That is true. And then obviously Snickers. Number 10, Snickers.
Hello, my name's Mark Decano and I host the Comedy in a Nutshell podcast, in which I talk with those in and around the comedy circuit, and most especially the comedians, about what comedy means to them.
Simon Amstel plus Lena Dunham plus Mr. Blobby. I thought that would be a good combo.
Every gig you get is somebody else not getting a gig.
Sometimes I've had people pull out a notepad and I've been like, oh no, thank you.
You are a jester and you're here to bring light relief to people's lives.
Somebody at the end was like, oh my God, she's dirty. And I was like, thank you very much.
My boyfriend says he feels like he has to tread very carefully because he was like, I know that everything has the potential to become material.
I can now give to people and they definitely in that moment are having a good time.
So if you want to know more about what comedy means to the people at its heart, then hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Comedy in a Nutshell, wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Fringe, baby!
So, years of developing his role as a bank robber.
Yes.
Various...
years of not being caught.
Well, some have been caught. So he's got a few arrests in the end of the 20s and the start of the 30s. So he was arrested for suspicion of highway robbery. He had a few vacancy arrests. He was arrested for murder, but not convicted.
Right. Gosh. Okay.
And then in 1930, he was arrested for a bank robbery in Sylvania, Ohio.
It was a cold autumn morning in Sylvania.
And he was convicted to serve 12 to 15 years, but he escaped.
Wow. What was the town?
Sylvania.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all I think of is
Sylvanian family.
Families.
Just think about the families
that had to deal with that. Yeah. For instance, little mice,
little badger with a dress on.
Yeah. Fox, who's a school teacher, and the dog who's a boy.
Dog who's a boy.
Dog all dressed up as a boy.
Yeah, dog boy. You know. Well.
I mean, that's all I think about.
Sylvanian families.
I'm talking about the families of Sylvania.
Sylvania, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
the dog boy that you mentioned.
He just passed
rabbit
through, didn't he?
He was part.
What? So he was just sort of Transylvania.
That's one of the other ones.
God.
The rabbit who's drives a bus. And the cat who's the cat. Oh, I remember distinctly the cat who runs a flower stall.
Actually, I remember that.
Yeah. It's those I think about. What they went through.
Yeah, quite right.
One of them had to pick up his cart. It was on its side. And he had to put it up on its wheels again. There's some fruit all over the floor.
Yep. I think this has reached its limit.
Sylvanian families, each sold separately. Sylvanian families.
And then in 1931, Floyd definitely shot and killed a federal agent.
Well, that's not good, is it?
No wonder the boy were after him.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Boy. Despite bank robbery and murder that was going on with him and his now gang.
How big's his gang?
4 or 5 at this point.
Is that a gang?
But they come and go.
It is a gang, isn't it? Yeah. They come and go?
Yeah.
I'll be off then.
Well,
we've just murdered.
Most of these gangs, they're all like vagrant types, so they'll drift into town and they'll hook up with the local talent kind of thing.
Yeah,
so like
fairly nebulous groups of people, aren't they?
Pretty Boy Floyd spent time with Bonnie and Clyde in their gang, but then he would be in a gang of his own. So,
because it's all looking after, well, as you say, travelling around.
They're travelling around, and they're all out for themselves, aren't they?
Yes, of course.
These people are criminals, as is always the case with criminals. It always comes down to
Baddie's going to be bad.
Baddie's going to be bad.
Right. Okay.
But despite Baddie being bad, the general public, as they were with most of these people at the time, quite romanticised him and thought that. Well,
I don't think they did. They just read papers which did it for them, or told them that these.
Yeah, but it's
romanticise.
But if the newspaper's going, "Oh, Pretty Boy Floyd robs bank," and then all the people were good, stupid banks.
Oh right,
hoarding all the money while we're living on the breadline.
Yeah, but why would they say that?
Because they hated the banks.
Yeah, but it's their money that they haven't got.
Well,
any
no,
money.
Because they're all getting foreclosed. This is the 1930s. So no one's got any money. It's depression time, isn't it?
Oh, okay. So they saw it as a building with money.
Represent wealth and
all these people robbing banks. Bonnie and Clyde, Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd. They're all seen as a public sort of. Not a public service, but they're sort of like champions of the little guy. Because the banks have all the money and the police are protecting the bank's money. So they're they hate the police and they hate the banks.
And they quite like the people who nick money from the banks.
Yeah. And it was probably a myth, but allegedly he would rip up mortgages. He'd go into the banks, rob the bank, and then tear up mortgage statements, basically freeing people from having to repay their loans.
I mean, that seems a bit... Like, is that all it takes?
At the time, yeah.
Right, you haven't got a mortgage. Well, hang on, it's just a bit of paper.
Well, yeah,
it's
a contract, isn't it? You're literally tearing up the contract.
This is extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary.
But if you ripped up your marriage certificate, aside from being a much happier man, you wouldn't be instantly divorced, would you?
Well, if there's no record of that marriage, if you've got only tearing up your own copy, then it's meaningless. You just go and get another copy.
Yeah.
But if you've actually removed the registrar's note of your marriage,
then
if there is any challenge to it, like you say, I'm off and I'm taking all my stuff, then there's nothing to challenge that. You can't say, but you're married.
It's still a marriage contract. If you destroy the contract, then there's no evidence of the marriage taking place. So it's still the same.
It's a bit of paper.
Call it a marriage, call it a mortgage.
So if you then go, well, I'm not paying my mortgage, they'll just go, you've got a mortgage. Then,
yeah.
No, I haven't got
Where's
a mortgage.
the evidence that I've got one?
Yeah, let's go before a judge with the contract. I haven't got one. Well, there you
go. I'd like that to happen. You do. It doesn't matter to you two, does it?
No. Don't have a mortgage.
I'm
a mortgage. I don't have a marriage.
In this setup, you're the banks and I'm the public who hate you.
Quite right. I mean, that might, like I say, that might not be true, but it's like there's another.
Since you press record, start of this episode.
But it might not be true, but it was the word of at the time,
where he would go in and go, he'd ripped up. I mean, that's going to ingratiate you to the man.
It's the one. I think that's one. That kind of thing was attributed again. It's in popular mythology. Babyface Nelson apparently, when he robbed a bank, he would make sure that anyone who was in the bank at the time got a receipt for their money. So the bank's responsibility, and they didn't lose.
Yes, right, okay. What a great guy.
What a great bloke. Yeah, but again, don't know if it's true, but it's certainly the story that would go around, and because of things like this, Floyd got the nickname in Oklahoma as the Robin Hood of the Cookson Hills.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So let's talk about the Kansas City Massacre.
Yes.
So there was a gunfight in 1933.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a gangster named Frank Jelly Nash who had been recovered after an escape and was being returned to the pen.
So he'd run away and they'd got him again?
Yes, he'd been captured and he was in Kansas City being escorted back to prison.
Cool.
And there was a gang that may or may not have included Floyd, but his name was heavily tied to it. It was led by a man named Vernon Miller, and they decided that they were going to liberate Jelly Nash from the clutches of the law.
Were they mates?
They was mates, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Listen, Vern, I want Floyd in on this too. Him and Nash being such good friends.
Let's go get Jelly.
Do we know why he was called Jelly?
Sadly not.
I'm taking a guess.
Because he was a big lad.
Maybe. Because he liked jelly.
Wobbled.
No, because if it's America, so it would have been Jello.
Oh, right.
Jello.
So what's jelly then? Jam. I think it's jam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jammy Frank.
Jammy?
Lucky?
Is jammy a phrase in America?
Probably not.
Jammy is a sticky man.
Anyway, so they
were going to liberate Jelly Nash.
Escaped him.
Well, they decided they were going to help him escape.
Yeah.
Bringing Nash into Union Station tomorrow morning at 7. I want you boys down to meet him.
Now, unfortunately, it didn't go as well as they might have.
Okay.
So,
I mean, judging by the title of this
the massacre,
Kansas City Massacre, I'm assuming you're correct.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Essentially, what happened was that the gangmen approached the car. They were noticed by the law. They parked the car up and they were going to transfer him to the
prison,
to the train, to the prison.
Right. Yeah.
So they got to the train station, Jelly Nash in the car, the lawman, the officers get out, and then they see the gangsters approaching, and obviously everyone starts pulling their guns out, and there's a big shootout.
What kind of guns are they? Are they like
Thompsons?
Well, I was going to say Bugsy Malone guns.
Splurge guns.
Well, all right, with bullets, but that kind of disc of...
Yeah, that's the Thompson.
Tommy gun.
Yeah. Is that what they were?
I don't know.
I don't know what the era.
Well, what you're talking probably is revolvers.
Oh, really?
/ possibly a Tommy gun or two, or shotgun. Those are the three.
So are they 3 different era guns?
So Tommy guns were kind of just came out after the First World War, so 20s.
Right.
So yeah, so that's sort of the 20s, but they're in the revolver and shotgun a fair bit earlier.
His age is earlier. Yeah.
But regardless of which weapon they were using, there was lots of gunfire.
Yeah, sure.
The police chief and an FBI special agent were killed.
Blimey.
Yeah, and 2 Kansas City detectives were also killed. And I think a couple of the gunmen and Jelly Nash.
Oh, no.
You killed Frank! You killed Frank!
Wow.
The whole point of it, he was shot dead as well.
Ironic,
without even getting out of the car.
They should have used splurge guns. Ironically.
So yeah, he was.
Then he just would have been
Jelly Nash,
jelly
and ice cream.
Exactly.
But yeah, he was.
So everyone's, or not everyone, most people are dead.
One of the gangsters accidentally shot him in the head while he was still sitting in the car, so he didn't even get out of the car.
What? This is #1 disaster.
Was he? I mean, how do you do that? How do you accidentally? Was he a long way away?
Just about. Just shooting.
Right, yeah, okay.
Just ran at the car firing.
No plan at all.
No, at all.
He's in the car.
Not
shoot everyone. Shoot everyone apart from him. I appear to have chopped him in half.
Yeah, exactly. 2 policemen pretended who were sat in the back seat with Nash. They slumped forward and pretended they were dead, and managed to survive by doing so. Basically, just because they ducked, down. Yeah. So after the failed attack, and again, we don't know if Floyd necessarily was involved, but he was alleged leader of this gang. The attack was led by Vernon Miller, like I said. Now, it obviously, because it went so bad, or possibly because it went so bad, he was later found dead in Detroit, Michigan.
So he was... Right, I mean, that's quite a big coincidence.
Vendetta.
Yeah.
He was beaten and strangled.
Oh, really?
So... Yeah, it may well be that. It might be lots of reasons why, but it's possible. It's
sure.
It's part of the allegation is that it's because he was making balls of leading.
This escape went poorly. Vernon.
Now, Alvin Karpis, bank robber.
Yep.
He claimed that Pretty Boy Floyd had confessed that he had been involved in it, but Floyd himself wrote a letter to Kansas City police. They wrote a postcard, sent them a postcard, basically saying, "I want it known I did not participate in the massacre of officers at Kansas City. Yours, Charles Floyd."
I mean,
he made a point of writing to say it was.
Obviously, I know nothing about it in the slightest, but I kind of believe that really because he'd done loads of other horrible things, and why would you do a postcard to say, by the way...
Yeah, why would you go to the effort of saying... It's only going to add to your notoriety, and certainly in the eyes of the law, you'd be considered more dangerous. They might be more hesitant to try and do...
But I would believe that he wasn't there. He just wanted to... But I mean,
even later on... and we started this with him being shot dead, so we know how it ends.
Yes.
But even then, when he was being killed, he said that it was nothing to do with it.
Right, okay. So did this incident ultimately make Public Enemy #1? Hence why they wanted to get him and gun him down?
Again, like all these...
An incident that he technically might not have been in.
He might not have been in, but don't forget, he has already murdered other police beforehand, so he's not absolved. He's not absolved.
Forgot about
responsibility. Even
and also those that $3 that he.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
And that payroll.
We're going to let him off all the killing and the massacre and everything, but for that, for the $3.50,
throw the book at him.
Get the chair.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's 1934, which is a year after Kansas City Massacre, when John Dillinger is killed.
Oh yes.
And
so
at that point, the BOIs decide that now Floyd, is Public Enemy #1.
Yep.
Public Enemy Junior, huh? Well, he'll show him.
So Floyd and an accomplice named Machete had gone out of Buffalo, New York in October of 1934. But they were driving in heavy fog and accidentally ran into a telephone pole.
God, fogs were a whole nother thing back then, weren't they?
Fogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fogs ain't like they used to be.
No.
So they didn't want to go into town, obviously, because they might be recognised. So they had 2 ladies in their car, and they sent them into town to get help. But 2 other guys driving by saw the car on the side of the road, saw the 2 men, the dapper Dans, 2 dressed in smart suits, and they went,
"Who are they?
Hang on a minute. What's going on here?"
Hang on.
So they contacted...
He looks quite pretty.
He looks...
That's style, all right. What's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this? Where are we, anyway?
They contacted the police, and one John H. Fultz, chief of Wellsville, Ohio police, he took a couple of deputies and they went out to go and see what's what.
Check it out.
See if they'd stolen these suits.
See if they'd stolen the suits, stolen the car, gone for joyride, rammed it into a pole. Richetti ran into the woods straight away as soon as he saw them.
Man, I'm getting out of here.
And Floyd drew his gun.
Right.
So there was a gunfight. The officers were wounded. Richetti was pursued and caught, but Floyd was on the run. So now they're mobilised and chasing after.
A big old
load of people are contacted. They send off agents down. Floyd managed
Lots of them.
Really? So there's loads of the boy, loads of the local.
Loads of the boy. Yep.
Floyd hitchhiked to
with his thumb out.
A fancy man in a suit hitchhiking.
In the middle of nowhere.
We're gonna take you, partner. Right.
So he goes to East Liverpool.
Yep.
He had a friend there who ran a pool hall. So he went there, got changed clothes, got some food.
A less fancy suit.
So it's not really known exactly what happens next, because obviously the only people who know could say is
had a game of pool.
Fancy
a quick.
What we know is that when he left the pool hall, he basically ran into a group of police.
Oh dear! Right. Coincidentally,
pretty much. Yeah, they were basically hanging around outside, and he just walked out like that. Apparently, he attempted to run away. They ran after him, guns blazing.
Wow.
Well, it's not very clear exactly what happened next, but because there is an argument that he was shot while he was fleeing. He may have been arrested.
Yep.
But basically, there was another gunfight and he was shot, so he might have been killed while in custody.
Well, I would say, in the eyes of the law, shooting dead supersedes being arrested. I'm not a lawman, but cuff him. Why?
So you're saying if you die, you're no longer under arrest?
Yeah. I would actually. Yeah.
Different people have given different accounts of what happened. All of them in law enforcement. All of them in some way maybe trying to claim credit.
Yes, of course, yeah.
What have you.
As history is written by the victors, and they were it, weren't they?
So what we do know is that he was shot twice apparently, and he said, "I'm done for. You've shot me twice. You killed me."
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
You've shot me twice and killed me, guys.
You shot me in my stomach. I'm gonna die now, probably.
It is possible, however, according to one person, while he was dying on the ground, that
telling everyone he's dying,
and that he's been shot twice.
I think he was really camping it up. You know? I'm dying. Oh, I'm dead. I'm done for. I'm gone.
Hold me closer in. It's getting dark.
Did he put his wrist on his forehead?
Swooning from side to side.
Tell Tony Tim I won't be coming home this Christmas.
Yep.
There's a guy named Purvis.
Peter
Purvis.
That'll be him.
So there was Blue Peter presenter president.
Here's how we killed him earlier.
So Melvin Purvis, who's one of the FBI, who's leading the FBI.
Yep.
He was alleged to have ordered one of his agents to shoot him while he was dying
on the floor.
Right,
anyway, That's what they're there to do anyway, really, kind of, aren't they? That's probably what their goal was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they were expecting to lead him away in handcuffs.
Well, they potentially weren't expecting to bump into him.
No.
Well, arguably, he was in handcuffs. Well, they handcuffed him while he was wounded.
Ah, right.
So he was arrested, even while wounded.
Okay.
So it's possible he died from his wounds. It's possible that he was basically executed. We don't know for sure, and the FBI is never going to tell.
No,
so
they're not.
Don't know. So we do know that he, in that scene, amidst all the FBI and the police, the wounded gangster died.
Knowing the FBI's website, the case is still open.
So his body was taken and embalmed.
Yep.
And placed on public display.
Hey! Oh, God. Was it?
Yep.
Where?
How
in,
soon?
Sallisaw, Oklahoma.
The next day.
How many days after it was it in the Wax Museum?
Well, I can tell you that between 20 and 40,000 people attended his, still to this day, the largest funeral held in Oklahoma history.
Wow.
And there
40,000 people. Would he have been, meaning you could see him on display, or do you just see him coughing?
I don't know if it was open casket, but that was his funeral attendance. But he was on display prior at the funeral home before he was sent to Oklahoma for burial.
Oh, wow. Blimey.
So,
what about my mortgage? Said one man.
Pop Cull, then.
Yeah.
Woody Guthrie.
Yep.
Who at one time was a suspect in the Black Dahlia murder.
Somehow.
He wrote a protest song called Pretty Boy Floyd, supposedly going on about him being
supporting
the Robin Hood of the of the people. That was from 1939, and that has been covered then by other people.
Right, okay. So it was only 5 years later, right?
Yeah. Loads of movies.
Name one.
60s and 70s.
That I've heard of.
Well, there's the film Pretty Boy Floyd, 1960.
Okay.
There's A Bullet for Pretty Boy.
Yeah, that kind of gives away the plot in the title.
There's the film Dillinger, 73, which he's part of that storyline.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
The one you might be aware of, and I think you know this one, Bruce, from 74, called The Story of Pretty Boy Floyd, where he was played by Martin Sheen.
Have I seen this?
Apparently, allegedly.
I probably have.
There's a film about the Kansas City Massacre, which we talked about.
Yes.
1975.
Which is separate.
Yep.
Yep.
Then there's the Vern Miller story, who's the guy
Seems a bit,
he's the guy who led the Kansas City Massacre.
Yeah, so it's like Frasier. To the Kansas City Massacre's Cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah, okay. Why would you make it seems a bit... Well, I mean, to be fair, why was Frasier a sitcom? And yet it was very good. So a film was made about Vern Miller.
Yeah. Scott Glenn was in that.
Oh, yeah.
Big star.
Yeah.
And in 2009, the movie Public Enemies, Johnny Depp as John Dillinger, and Christian Bale.
I haven't seen that. Have you seen that?
I have, yeah.
Christian Bale as what?
Historically terrible, but...
okay.
I mean, in that one, Pretty Boy Floyd is killed for Dillinger, which we know is not true.
Yeah.
He inherited the Public Enemy.
Who's Christian Bale? Who does he play?
He's the detective, I think, the FBI. And then Channing Tatum plays Pretty Boy Floyd. He is mentioned in The Grapes of Wrath.
Is he really?
John Steinbeck.
Wow.
Yeah. He's referred to many times, but and again in that he's allegedly driven to crime by the Depression, but we know that it's not exactly the case. And you know the comic strip Dick Tracy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There's a character called Flat Top Jones, who in the comic strip is allegedly part of the Kansas City Massacre, and also he's supposed to be from the Cookson Hills.
Right.
And Pretty Boy was the Robin Hood of the Cookson Hills.
Oh, sorry, right. Yeah,
so he's got some inspiration.
Sure, yeah. Cool.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about on this episode, then just Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website. That's www.truecrimediary.co.uk. Please remember to leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can email us. That's stuff@truecrimediary.co.uk. My thanks to Jed and Rue and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on next date in our True Crime Diary.